Well, hey there, friend, and welcome back for another episode of the Your Hair Mentor podcast, where I'm your host and your hair mentor, Crystal Green. And I invite you to come take a listen to the top leaders and thinkers and experts and innovators in the beauty industry as they share their stories of triumph and struggles and success in creating their businesses behind the chair. I hope you enjoy these episodes just as much as I did recording them. See you on the inside, friend.
Why don't we just go ahead and I have questions for you about stuff, but maybe it would be helpful to have you introduce yourself and who you are. And it's funny, I don't even know. I was like, I'm pretty sure her name's Erica because it's Erica Six Style. Is that right? And so I was like, I don't even know her full name. So give me, who are you? Who am I talking to here?
So my name is Erica Six, and I am in Gig Harbor, Washington. I've been a hairstylist for almost 10 years now. And I kind of started specializing in blonde about 3 to 4 years ago. I just started really liking it, was getting a lot of requests for it. And so that kind of just led me down this road of like, hey, I really want to get knowledgeable about it. And because I feel like I did get a lot better, I really enjoyed like the education piece. And so I recently, about a year ago, got into independent education and have been really loving it. I just finished a hair show at IBS in New York, which was amazing. And yeah, and then I don't know, here I am today, and we have a blonding specialist salon, which is amazing, and it's in Gig Harbor, and I have a business partner with that. So things are great.
Yeah. Gig Harbor, is that what you said?
Yeah.
What's the population of that area?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Is it like big city or like, so I have no reference. I have no idea.
It's like 40 minutes south of Seattle. So it's not like it's 10,000 people. There's probably, oh gosh, this is total guess, 50,000 maybe.
Okay. So not like huge city, but not like dinky little town.
Yeah.
Do you get a bunch of people that live in Seattle that come your direction for salon services?
Yeah, I feel fortunate that I have people that drive a couple hours, and I have a couple people that have moved away and they fly back now, which is super weird, but I love it. I appreciate it. And so I get people from all over, a lot of locals in Gig Harbor, and then definitely the surrounding area. It's just, some people just say it's hard to find a good blonde specialist. So
I mean, it's hard to find a good hairstylist, period, right?
Yeah, just someone you're in line with. You get a lot of people that they come in and they're like, well, my last person either got hurt or they just started being flaky. And, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So, yeah, I feel like clients are you can lose clients pretty quickly. The competition is really high, I would say, especially with social media, the way that it is. So,
yeah, I feel like if you don't have like a really good connection and like rapport with your clients, it's easy for them to feel like, well, I can just go find someone else then, because there's a dime a dozen with hairstylists these days. Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay, so your salon for now is just you and one other stylist, but do you have room to grow, or tell me more about that?
Yeah, no, we are an independent salon. So basically we do have people that rent stations from us. So there's 4 of us total, and we're kind of in the process of actually looking for some more independent hairstylists that want to join us. We do have like a checklist because we do want people, it's not just hairstylists, it is people that want to specialize in blonde and currently already do. So we are kind of looking for a little more specialty. So with us having been very busy with building out the salon and then prepping for that hair show, we were a little busy to like try to look for people. So now that we're kind of like, all right, we can breathe a little bit, let's, dive into, looking for some more girls or guys, whoever wants to join us.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a booth rental salon then, is that right? Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm happy to hear that because you were just mentioning with my Nick Arojo podcast, so he's talking about like salons are dead, and like there's this kind of new kind of idea emerging that people can work in the same space but not be part of a salon, and even booth rental. But I I don't know if I fully agree with him. Maybe that's the case in like heavy city centers, but maybe in smaller areas, I'm air quoting smaller, like where you live, and even in Reno, Nevada, I know there's a lot of booth renters still because
Hmm.
people want to be independent and like kind of run their own business. So I'm happy to hear that, you're running a booth rental salon and it's working for you, right?
Yeah, we really like it. I found that, well, both my business partner and I did not want to take on a commission stylist salon. We just knew it's a lot more work. And I think that, it's great. Like, I think you can make more money that way. However, there's a lot more on your plate. And that's something that I just didn't think I was ready to take on, nor do I really want to. I like the idea of bringing in independent hairstylists that want to feel like part of a team, because at the end of the day, even though we're independents, we're all judged as a whole. So like everybody needs to be on the same page and work well together. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. We get to work with people, but we all own our own business. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what's I just something I really like.
Yeah, I think that's neat. I've been a booth renter for many years. I'm now an
Mhm.
independent stylist in a studio, but I like the idea of working in a salon as a booth renter, where the salon kind of has like a specialty in itself
Yeah.
too. That's very interesting because I've worked, like a wide variety of
Mhm.
salons, and the stylists within them have a wide variety of services they offer. And so, like my coworker would be rolling a perm while I'm over here balayaging. And I'm like, it's just, it's fine and it worked, but I think it would vibe a lot better if everyone was kind of doing the same flavor of hair. And then it probably makes it easier if you are going out of town or whatever to have the ability to maybe take your client to someone else's chair in the salon that specializes in the same stuff you do too. So I think that's great.
Absolutely. My
Yeah.
business partner and I, that was something that we were starting to get booked out, months in advance, which was great, great problem to have. However, if they did have to cancel or reschedule, now like they're having to wait those couple months, most likely,
Right.
unless they
Right.
get lucky. So having the option of being like, well, hey, look, we do have some other girls that we would trust with maybe, completing your service. So that
Yeah.
is kind of nice. That was kind of like the idea behind it a little bit too, was just
Mm-hmm.
that would be nice. But
Totally. So how many days are you working behind the chair now?
four, and I work kind of long days. I'm usually the first one there, last one to leave. And it's funny, I always joke like I'm the oldest one there. I'm 36, but
Uh-huh.
it's funny, like a lot of hairstylists, once you get independent, you're only working 3, 4 days a week a lot of times, especially if there's moms and stuff involved, which I get it.
Uh-huh.
I do not have kids, so I do work 4 days a week and up to 12 hours a day. So
Oh, yeah. I used to
it's
do the same
long.
before I had kids. I was one of those crazy people that worked like 7 days a week. My schedule was six
Oh
days a week. And then I'd find reasons to go in on like a Sunday. It was like, oh, well, someone's in town and this and that. And I just was like living for work. And so I would work like 12-hour days, 6 days a week, made great money, but I had
yeah.
no time to do anything else. So,
It's
yeah, I love that it's evolved to where 4 days a
Mhm.
week is considered like a long work week.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, as you know, as a hairstylist, you're not like necessarily done at 5. I mean, I guess you could be, but I'm always thinking about stuff, especially with like my social media. That has consumed, I spend a lot of time on that. I'm going to be
I,
completely honest.
yeah,
It's
I bet.
consuming.
But it's so good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that was gonna be my next question. Like, okay, so you work 4 days a week behind the
Yeah.
chair. Like, when are you making all of these videos in the salon? Because, girl, you pump out some content.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's crazy because I spend probably a minimum of 20 hours a week, up to 30, maybe probably not more than 30, but on top of me working behind the chair, it's a lot. And so the ideas come to me quickly, but I'm either coming in early, I'm staying late, or I'm actually like today, it's Monday, I'm not working in the salon behind the chair, but I will be going in after this and I'm going to make some more content. So
Gotcha.
it's just I kind of just section out, a 6 hours out of my day. I go film a bunch of stuff. And then during the week I just edit and caption and get ready to schedule it and just pump it out at least 1 to 2 a day. And I made a commitment about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, that like I needed to be consistent because I had goals within monetizing social media and I just have a lot of goals within that. And so I knew that I had to be consistent with posting. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, it doesn't matter how I do it, I will post at least once a day. And I've stayed true to it, except when I broke my phone. And
Oh
then
no.
I couldn't access anything for like 3 days. It was terrible. And I was like, oh no. But it was fine. It was
Yeah.
fine.
I think I found you about 6 months ago. So I wonder if like the
Okay.
algorithm had pushed your stuff to me about that time. That's
Yeah.
interesting. And I feel like when I first saw your stuff, is it true that had you gotten awards at the Behind the Chair? Is that right? Am I quoting that right?
Yeah,
Behind the Chair? Yeah.
I was nominated last year for a funny reel. So
Uh-huh.
I got top 100, but I
Uh-huh.
wasn't able to go to the show. I was like doing wedding hair over in Sweden during that
Oh,
time.
wow.
So yeah, I was like, well, I guess that's a good reason, but I'll be
Yeah.
going to this year's
Oh,
events because
good.
um, yeah, I think that it'll happen again because I
Yeah.
think my stuff's gotten a little bit better. So,
Yeah. And it's just so funny too. I feel like I'm like this girl is like my sister from another mister. Like your sense of
oh,
humor hits home so well. I love it so much.
oh, I'm
It's
glad.
great. Yeah. And I love that there's kind of this like stylist humor, like you and Carlos
Yes.
are so funny. I just love it so much. And it's just, I
Oh,
wish that this kind of stuff was around when I started my career because it was just stylist banter in the back room. That was like the only
yeah.
kind of like release that we got. And there's so much to laugh about in this industry.
I
So,
I agree. And that's where I don't know what happened, how like where it all came from, but I just was realizing, okay, I like to laugh. I like to have fun. At the end of the day, if no one likes my stuff, I have fun making it. So that's what really counts to me. I actually really enjoy it and it
mhm.
makes me laugh. And so I'm glad that it's received well. I'm glad that other people find it funny because it is great. It's relatable, it's funny. Like I think it's good. Life is too short to be so serious. Let's just have fun
Yes.
with it. Like I don't mean to shame anybody, so
Uh-huh.
hopefully that is never an issue, but
Uh-huh.
I just like to have a good time. And
Yeah.
so I totally agree. He is so funny. I also love Jade Beauty Co. Her
Oh,
name's Morgan.
yes. Yes.
There's a lot of funny. I love my friend Sarai. She's funny too. I don't know. There's so many great like content creators out there in our industry, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I feel like, we work with people and we take on people's baggage all the time, right? And so my husband's a fireman, for example. He also sees a lot of people at their worst and gets like emotional baggage dumped on him. And they have like banter within the fire department of like, they don't like make fun of their customers or their clients, but they'll make fun of situations and they like bring it to light and that's how they have to like deal with it and release it. And I feel like
Yeah.
we're in the same boat and it drives me nuts when other hairstylists are so serious about everything. I'm just like blah, like no one wants that, clients don't want it. I don't, in my opinion, like I lead with humor with everything in my life. Like when I get uncomfortable I start making jokes and being even more funny, which is a thing in its own. But yeah, I super appreciate the humor aspect of it. I don't know if you had a chance to discover my alter ego on my social media. Like a couple months ago, I woke up and I was like, because I like to think I'm funny. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But I had this idea to create this alter ego. Her name is Cristal, and she's like,
Oh yeah.
she's
Yeah.
she's just hot, right? And it's just to me, it's like I'm not making fun of anyone in particular, but it's like this. I think ideal persona that maybe hairstylists think they have to be in the industry. And I'm like, just quit being so serious about everything. God, like you can be hot, but you can also just be like casual and whatever, and your clients appreciate it.
Yeah, be humble. No, I have seen
Yes.
your stuff. I think it's great. I think you're funny. I started following you like just a little bit ago. Finally, when we started talking, I was like, just yeah. I remember seeing your page and I thought, I like it. It's great.
Yeah. And I'm like, this might upset some people, but I'm like, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone specifically.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But I'm like, to the stylist who takes things so seriously, it's like my way of being like, chill out, just relax, okay?
I agree. I totally agree. No, I think it's great. I guess I just am not that kind of person to like be so serious all the time. So when people have gotten like angry or trolled some of my videos. It's like, you guys, like, I'm not actually like trying to be mean here and like
Right.
so serious, but
Right. But I mean, that's also probably like it's your personality and that's your flavor of being a stylist that I think you
Mhm.
probably attract clients that appreciate your humor too, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, it's so funny. My clients now, now that I've been posting this kind of stuff pretty consistently for a while, um, the first thing people say to me is like, "Oh my gosh, I love your videos. They're so funny. They make me laugh. I love seeing it." And it's like, I don't know, it just means a lot that like people, it's like just brightening someone's day. And it seems so weird, but I like it. So my clients do compliment it.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
clients that I have like it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think I would have, if it was that bad, I don't think I would have clients. So,
No,
you
no,
know,
totally. And I guess, yeah, there's clients for everybody. There's probably clients who don't appreciate it, but I've always had clients that appreciate a sense of humor and, joke around with me and mess around with me too. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of industry leaders talking about these days how hairstylists have to increase their perceived value for their clients, right? And like, what do you bring to the table that someone else doesn't bring? And entertainment is part of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're storytellers, we're entertainers, we're also
Yeah.
like, service providers, and we're doing a specific skill. But if you're like this, like no personality, humdrum, can't hold a conversation, people are not going to want to sit in your chair for upwards of 4 or 5 hours.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
do some long services. So I mean, I'm that crazy hairstylist that will do, I've done sessions up to 12 hours when it's major
Woo.
color corrections. That is
Mm-hmm.
not super common, but like I do a lot of 6 to 8 hours. It's intense. I'm doing like the stuff that maybe some people might do in like 3 sessions. And I'm like, hey, if you want to sit here all day with me, pack a lunch, let's do this.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time. I actually prefer it as opposed to packing a lot of clients in. That's just not my style. I think it's actually more exhausting starting those
Mm-hmm.
new conversations and stuff. And to your point, like about the entertainment, yeah, part of my brand is kind of like, hey, if you want to have a good time, like this is my personality. I have to be authentically me. And that's just like having a good time, laughing, like
Mm-hmm.
let's just not be so serious. Yeah.
So when it comes to finding hairstylists to work in your salon, is that like part of the interview process? Like, how would you rate your sense of humor on a scale of 1 to 10?
I am not gonna lie, it is literally like kind of like a secret checkbox, like that my business partner and I, it wasn't maybe like sense of humor. I mean, but it is like social media. Are you present? Are you posting? And yeah, I mean, if someone is super serious, it is not in alignment. Like that's cool, great for you. I respect it. But that's just not going to align with like we like to have fun in our salon. My business partner is great. The girls that we have so far are great. They are just like right in alignment with us. So it meshes really well. And so if we
Mm-hmm.
brought someone in that wasn't like that, it would be kind of uncomfortable for
For
them and
sure.
for us.
Oh, for
So
sure.
yeah.
And probably
I
their
don't think there's
clients
anything
too.
wrong with it, it's not
Yeah.
like I'm like, oh, you don't have, a highlight right in the front. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm just curious, what does everyone in your salon do for pricing? Like, are you a by the hour pricing model or like a package kind of thing? Because as a specialist salon, you kind of are going to be a little more high end.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've changed my pricing a few different times in the last couple of years. It's hard because, you hear like, oh, this is the way to do it, like hourly, or it used to be a la carte. That's what I did for years,
Same.
packing it all in. But what I found was for me, a la carte, when I'm done with the 8 to 10, 12 hour long session, I am brain dead at that point. And so I might actually undercharge because I forgot that I did this and that, and I just
Yeah.
blanked. So I ended up switching to hourly, which was great because it's like, what time did they get here? What time are they leaving? Like, all right, we got our price. But now I'm kind of actually going back and thinking, like, is this the best thing? Because, me being efficient and I could be, using a ton of product and being very efficient, and it might not be worth the money. I might be actually undercutting myself still because of
Mm-hmm.
how much product I use in that 1 hour. So now I'm kind of going back to like a session. So like this is a look that you're being charged for. So like today's appointment is, you know, this much money because this is what we're getting you to today. So I think that's taken me a long time because now I've been doing hair for a long time and I feel like I'm very confident in what I can get people to. And I'm very thorough in my consultation. I talk about where they're at, where we need to go, and like how to get there. And
Mm-hmm.
I have realized my timing, all the things that we like have to know about ourselves.
Yeah,
I've really kind of honed in and like, okay, so this is what I know I'm capable of doing. Every once in a while, there could be a little hiccup or something, but for the
for
most
sure.
part, I'm like, so I'm kind of like, I'm still technically hourly, but I'm thinking about going to session pricing.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so tricky. I feel like because techniques are always evolving,
Yeah.
new products are coming out that change
Mhm.
how we service things, like the new 10-minute hair colors that are out, right?
Yeah.
Which are fantastic for someone that needs to be quick and speedy. But now, if you're charging by the hour, I mean, does it? I don't know. Like, is it better that your client processed in 10 minutes versus 30? Because maybe in that 30, you could have been doing something else on their hair. I don't know.
Mhm.
It's tricky. It's really hard
Yeah.
to, I think, figure out the best way to go about this, especially when you're not just a kind of generalist, new hairstylist. When you've honed in on something and you're a specialist,
Yeah.
I feel like it's always evolving. What's the best way to charge?
Yeah, and I think just changing it over the years because I think initially you need to charge maybe a certain way according to where your skill level is at, and then
Mm-hmm.
but as you gain, years under your belt, usually you're becoming more efficient. So like I believe in charging for value, not for time necessarily, because I might be able to get someone to their goal in 3 hours and someone else that might take them 8. And so like why would I undercut myself? And I don't know. It's so hard to figure it out. But
Yeah.
and I use expensive stuff. I do not like skip on the quality. I am using
Yes.
the best stuff on every single client. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all know COVID just spiked, the product costs and stuff. I mean, it's insane. So like
Yeah.
that has to be added in. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
That's actually one of the things I want to talk to you about too. So I know I've messaged you about I actually don't know what the parent company's name is, but the people that make the albage and
Uh,
then the tools that go with it.
yeah.
Are you a like rep for them or educator for them, or you just love their stuff? Tell me.
Well, it started out like I had heard about these but
Mm-hmm.
last April, and I was like, tools that make your hair healthier, get out of here. I said, it's that sounds too good to be true. But I did a deep dive down the rabbit hole, researched for 2 months, saw all the videos, read about it, talked to a couple different stylists that I saw using it, and came to the conclusion this stuff is legit. And I thought it is 2022. It was last year. I said we should be at this point where we have something that does this. So when I got it, I was like immediately impressed. I mean, I could notice an instant improvement. It was incredible. So I was just
Which one did you start with? Was it the
um, I
curling
bought
iron or?
I bought the whole thing. I got
Gotcha.
the most. I
You,
invested several $1,000s,
okay.
and I
Okay.
bought the reponizer, which is the dryer, and the two curling irons and the flat iron. So I invested over $2,000, and I couldn't have been more happy. It was amazing. I noticed it on myself, my clients. My clients noticed it. They were starting to want them for themselves at home. So it was like, well, this is amazing. This is going to make your blonde hair. How often do we have to tell people cool it on the heat only once a week? Use a heat protectant. This is like changed the game. So this is like you can use it every day if you want. You don't need a heat protectant, and your hair is going to actually get better. So it's like it's a no-brainer. It's probably the best investment I've ever made for something for my hair. I'm not even kidding. It's been game changer. So I was organically posting, content about this because I was like, this is exciting. People need to know about this. And because they liked my content, the company, they were like, we would love for you to be on like the beauty tech stylist influencer team. So now I technically am on the team, but it all started just with me loving it and being passionate, which is really the core of like anything that I talk about, like product wise. I am in love with that stuff. I do not partner with anybody that I do not absolutely believe in because I
Mm.
just want to be authentic and real and not be a sellout for compensation. So,
Yeah, I think that comes across in your posts. Like I feel
correct.
like you seem very genuine.
Yeah.
And like maybe because of your like sense of humor and like humility, it's easier to believe someone that's like
Yeah.
that too. But it really does seem genuine. I've seen other people talk about products and even these tools where I'm like, are you sure you know that this is good? Like it was kind of like a sidebar. Like, yeah, and these things are really cool and I like them a lot. But then you see another video of them just using a regular curling iron. And so I'm like, are they cool? Like, do you really understand how they work or what's going on? But with you being a blonde specialist, like, you know, this girl is lightening hair all day, every day. So she's
Yeah.
going to be using something that's going to benefit her. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Do you know? So I've tried to read like what these
Hmm.
things are and how they work.
Yeah.
What the heck is the technology? Like, or like in stylist layman's terms here, right?
Totally.
Like to your best ability, what is happening?
Yeah, that's always the question, right? From
Yeah.
clients and other hairstylists. And so it's very, complex. It is bioprogramming is the technology, Lumelina is the brand name. So like, yeah, so this bioprogramming is going to become the future of like not even just in the hair world, but it's actually being used in all different forms. So bioprogramming is affecting on the atom to atom level. So we're all made up of atoms, which is energy, nothing is solid. So this is affecting on the deepest level of the core of everything that we are, which is crazy, and nothing else repairs on that level. So like, Olaplex, K18, they're more like molecular level, and this is going much deeper. So it's crazy because on one of the tests, this repronizer or the dryer was actually demonstrated, and it works through glass. It was able to penetrate through the glass because we're all made up of energy, nothing is solid.
Whoa.
It was actually able to go through the glass and actually defrizz and hydrate this woman's hair. That blew my mind. I was
I
like,
I have
what?
goosebumps right now.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
what?
crazy. It's crazy. So it's quantum physics science built into these devices that ultimately increase the shine, moisture, softness, and decrease the level of friction, which is like tangles and whatnot.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you get instant results, and it's also progressive. So the more that you use it, the better it gets. You could sit here. In fact, I have one of them right here. Um, this is, I actually, it's on, so I'm not going to touch it, but this would actually, I could use this and hold this on my hair for 10 minutes, and it will just make it actually super, like super soft and shiny, healthy, and it will not damage. Now, if we did that with a regular iron, we would burn the keratin in our hair and it would be very yellow, but
Yeah.
this would not do that, which again, there's nothing in the world that does this. It's truly game changer. And so it's
Wow.
really cool to see where it's going to go and what this company or this bioprogramming technology is going to be utilized in not even just our world, but like everything. So it's
Hmm.
it's super crazy. It's hard to understand because the company was even stating, look, if you are not a quantum physics scientist, you are
Yeah.
not going to really, we can't get too deep. Otherwise, it's just going to be right over our heads. So that's kind of like the basic,
Yeah.
as I can explain it, is like it works on the atom to atom level, and you feel it. You feel
Mm.
it right away, you see it. So it's one of those things that like I have never had someone that was like, I don't really notice the difference. Everyone is like, oh my gosh, like my hair feels amazing, it looks amazing. It's truly incredible. So
Wow.
I highly recommend it for anybody.
That's fantastic. And I know,
Yeah.
especially with blonde hair, one of the
Yeah.
things as a service provider that we struggle with is keeping our clients blonde bright, right? And everyone goes home and uses their heat styling tools. Even with heat protectant, it's
Yeah.
still going to oxidize those toners, right? Or whatever is happening. Sun exposure, even, is going to oxidize those
Yep.
toners, and they end up looking more yellow than they
Mhm.
want to over a period of time. So I can see how amazing this would be, especially as a blonde specialist, to keep your clients' blondes looking fantastic. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's just one thing off of the list that now I've like, hey, if you have this, feel free to use it often. And I still like to use products personally, but you don't have to with these. So like you can kind of save money, you make the investment with this and you can almost save money on products because you're not having to like necessarily coat your hair with the heat protectant. I just personally like using a little something in my hair, so I still do. But
Hmm.
it's great. So it's one less thing. Water is like one of the main contributors of like yellowing, making blonde hair orange, and it's super, the minerals in our area, the iron is so bad. And so if I can have someone at least using one of these, that's like one problem off of the list. So then it's like, all right, we got that, the tools figured out. Now let's go into like the water situation. And I literally talk about water every single day with
Yeah,
clients. And
it's
who
great.
knew?
Yeah, totally. I know we struggle
Yeah.
with really hard water here in Reno, Nevada, also. I mean, you just look around the hills and they're like orangey toned desert
Yeah.
hills. And especially there's a lot of people with wells here too. And
Mhm.
so it's just a constant battle with the hard water problem.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so this company also makes do they call it a lightener or what do they call it?
That's right. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's called Albage. They don't say that it's a lightener. I say that it's like platinum programming. It lightens the hair, but it's not bleach. So it looks like Dijon mustard. It's very interesting. It's very creamy. It
Uh-huh.
has it's not a super fumey smell, so it's different and it doesn't burn your hands, so if you get it on your hands, it's not going to like, get that bleach burn
Yeah.
like we all know.
Yeah.
So it's great. And so it will get anybody pretty blonde. It will lift very neutral. So as we know, like I use either blonde solutions or Albage primarily. Blonde solutions lifts and tones, but this Albage just looks very neutral. So it's not a warm look like a traditional lightener would give. So
Hmm.
it was a learning curve trying to, understand like what level we're truly at. But it has that same bioprogramming technology in the mixture. So when it's done on virgin hair, which actually it was used on my hair the last time, it will
Uh-huh.
not damage. It will actually make your hair better, just like those devices. So it's kind of weird. It's again the only thing out there that will actually do something like this. And I love it. Now it's very expensive. So I do charge extra for that on top
Hmm.
of my hourly price because it's quite expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get more people that are like, hey, like, what is this Albage stuff? Like, can I do that instead? So I can see it being like the future of blonding for a lot of people. It's amazing to me that more people don't use it, but I think it's like it's still kind of new. It's only
Yeah.
been out for like, I don't know, 5 months or so. So it's
Oh,
still pretty new,
okay.
but it's amazing. I've used it on a lot of different levels. And sometimes you have to resaturate, but
Okay.
it definitely works. Now, for example, the one question that I had was like, so can I put it over this, bleached hair and actually make it healthier? That's not the case. So if your hair has already been damaged with lightener, you can't necessarily put the Albage on top of it and think that it's going to make your hair healthier. You still have to proceed with caution, like if you were using lightener over that previous blonde.
Right.
But they do say if you start using the bioprogramming like shampoo, conditioner, and the two leave-in products that they have to kind of build up that strength on an atom level, that can actually prep your hair in preparation for using the Albage on that previously lightened hair with bleach.
Hmm.
So
Wow.
I have done it before, and so it does. I
Uh-huh.
think it works great.
Hmm.
I think the darker levels definitely it's going to take a long time to lift,
Hmm.
but it can get there.
Like in
So
one process, would you just like keep resaturating the same
yeah.
hair and it would just keep lifting?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep, definitely. So I usually like will scrape off the old
Hmm.
and then resaturate really well with the fresh Albage. So
Hmm.
like with my hair, I am extremely resistant. I take like 2 hours to lift. I'm like a
Hmm.
level 5 and my hair is always a pain. Every hairstylist that's ever done my hair is like, oh my gosh, your hair takes forever. I think it's because my mom's a redhead and
Mm.
underlying health issues kind of also affected my hair and how it lifts. But
Yeah.
Albage works on my hair. So I'm like, if it can work on my hair, it can work on most people's hair.
Do you
Yeah.
mix it like a traditional lightener where there's like the developer and then whatever the albage is so that it activates
Yeah.
it? Hmm.
Yep. So they have its own separate developer, and they either have like a 10 ball, which is the 2.0, or a
Hmm.
20 ball, which is the 6.0. And those are the only two developers. So I never have to use more than a 20 ball.
Hmm.
And it will get you there. It just might take a little bit longer than usual,
Hmm.
but it's so worth it. And so you just mix it like you don't want to whip it. You have to use a whisk, or I'm sorry, a spatula
Gotcha.
and fold it kind of like you're folding. Yeah. Just folding the cheese, so to speak.
Right.
So fold in the cheese.
Yes, yes. Well, it used to be mix the pancake batter with the lightener. That's what they taught us in beauty school. Mix it like pancake batter, you know?
Yeah, so more if you kind of get a lot of air pockets in it, it's going to swell a lot.
Mm,
So, and it's just, you want to mix it in very small batches because it does, you know, how lightener kind of it loses effectiveness over time. And the Albage is also the same way. So I mix a very small amount at a time. So, especially so I don't waste
yeah,
anything since it is expensive. But
yeah.
yeah, it's
Interesting.
amazing. Highly recommend it to try it out because it's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to know more about you as an educator. So you just went
Yeah.
and did a show.
Mhm.
Did you do that as a representative for this company or like your own brand? What were you doing?
I went as an independent educator with my business partner. We actually did the class together. We had three blonding classes, two were just speaking classes, and then one was a hands-on class. And I I just believe because I like so many different things. I can't just be, well, first, you know, the beauty tech thing, like they don't have, it's not like a whole hair color line. They don't have toners or anything like that. So I believe, you know, I like to mix and match stuff, you know. I mean, Blonde
Mm-hmm.
Solutions is like if I use a lightener, that is my absolute favorite. And because it lifts in tones and it's just, I mean, there's like nothing like it in my opinion. But the Albage is such a game changer. So like I like to have access to both. And if someone's got very compromised hair but wants blonde, I'm going to use the Albage. And so, anyways, I kind of like being an independent. So that way I am able to just speak on all brands and be very honest about it because I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of educators that work for a brand. They probably do like some of the other brands, but they can't speak on that stuff and they almost um, trash talk it a little bit because they are working for one brand. So I
Mm-hmm.
really like being independent and the classes went amazing. Um, our first class was like a modern, healthy blonding class. So just everything that we do behind the chair as like a blonde specialist to keep the hair as healthy as possible. Kind of, you know, how things have changed over the years, like why services take as long as they do. And there's so many products that we use in preparation before the blonding, during, and then after to keep the hair as healthy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also did a navigating blotting obstacles class, which was really fun.
Ooh, yeah.
So, you know, problems happen and it's
Uh-huh.
terrifying, but we were able to, you know, talk about each problem that, you know, you may run into. And first of all, how you would prevent it to start, because obviously prevention is the best way. But
Mm-hmm.
if it does happen, this is how we would proceed. And then we also gave like real life examples. I showed a lot of clients that I've had over the years and like them having just hair horror stories and what I did to kind of correct it. So that was a really fun class because I think that's where, you know, we always have like that one question, like where we had this client and they had this whole thing happen and some people don't know what to do or what caused that. And so I've spent a lot of time like really thinking about like all of these scenarios and I've learned a lot from them. Like over the last 10 years, I've had a lot of things happen.
For sure.
And so I like to, you know, all of that's just right up in my bit, like right up in my brain. And I want to share all of that stuff
Yeah.
so people can maybe avoid it and not have to be in the same position as me. And so that way they're just really equipped with like the right tools on how to prevent that stuff or, you know, fix it.
Yeah. Did you get a good feel for who was in your audience in terms of like where they were in their career? Was there like really young stylists that were new to the industry or like a bunch of seasoned stylists? Did you get an idea of that?
There, you know, I can't be like for sure on that. I felt like there was like some of the we got a lot of questions and it seemed like there was a good mix of people. So
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I mean, there was even someone from like our hometown who went to our first class, who's a salon owner that I actually personally know. So she was there and she's been doing hair for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
she said it was very like informative. So, you know, it's funny because my business partner and I, we were worried that like, is this going to be too basic? You know, is this like obvious things that we're sharing? And it was a real concern that we had, but everyone was like, you know, came up to us, complimented us, said how valuable it was. So we were like, it was really nice to hear because we were just hoping that it provided a lot of value. So, and
Yeah.
it seemed like, people were at different stages and, people tagged us and stuff. So then you kind of check out their page. You can kind of get a feel for like, oh, this person has been doing hair for a long time. This person hasn't. So I think it was a mix, but we had a good turnout of like our two speaking classes. I mean, our second one had like probably 130 people. So
That's
we were
awesome.
like, that's pretty good. And our hands-on was very intimate. It was like a, money piece touch up and then like a reverse balayage for, just a really solid blonde. And that was really fun too. So,
What was the name of these classes, or like what did you promote it as?
so the first one was a guide to modern healthy blonding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was navigating blonding obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hands-on was drop that dimension, I think.
It's cute.
Yeah.
And then like, well, what do you have like a business name for your education, or is it just Erica Six style? Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, do you have like a educator name?
No, I mean, maybe I need to get one, but I just kind of go by my own name or,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just using my Instagram handle, I guess, if anything, or just my name.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you just like kind of picked a place and designed the classes and then promoted it on social media to get people to come, or?
Well, since it was with IBS,
Right, right, right. Yes.
yeah, so they kind of, we did talk about it on our social media. They do ask you to promote it at least 3 to 4 times
Mm-hmm.
before the actual show. And then they, kind of post it on their page as well. So
Okay, so you must have pitched it to IBS then ahead of
yeah.
time. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's the
So you
connection. Okay.
submit a class idea. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
be like an educator at one of those shows, you have to come up with a class idea and it needs to be like a paragraph description, nothing too long, so they can
Mm-hmm.
literally use that for like
Mm-hmm.
the class description. And then they either approve it or they don't. They look at your Instagram to see who you are and kind of vet you a little bit to see
Mm-hmm.
like who is this person? Do we want them or not?
Yeah.
And they approve you or deny you, and then you just go from there. And yeah,
That's so
it's
great. I know there's more large companies like this that are recognizing that independent educators are like not going away.
yeah.
A bunch of us, I lumping myself in there as well, have kind of realized during the pandemic and then afterwards, it was like we need to kind of diversify our income a little bit and make it so that if and when anything happens like this again, we don't have zero income all of a sudden. So I think there's been a huge growth in the independent educator realm and stylists not wanting to be tied to one brand and having non-compete contracts and all that stuff. And so I've seen more and more large distributors and companies kind of recognizing that and embracing these independent educators. So that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's
great.
been really fun.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other kind of shows that you think you're going to want to be present at, or like what do you have for the next year planned?
I have so many ideas for next year. I'm so excited. So we were invited to do the IBS in Las Vegas, which is in June.
Right, I saw your
So
post about that. Yes.
So we'll be doing two of we'll do the same speaking classes since they were very valuable. We'll probably like modify them a little bit just to make sure. We thought about like adding more of like a demonstration on a mannequin for our blonding obstacles one, but we're not sure because you have limited time at a show like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then our hands-on class will be like a teasy light, like a very intentional teasy light placement for maximum, dimension and blonde. Um, and then moving on from that, we're planning a lot of education in our salon right now. So we plan on teaching classes in our salon. We always had this idea that we wanted to be like an education hub, in our salon. There's a need for it. There's not a lot
Yes.
of education in like the West Coast area in Washington, I should say.
Mm. Mm.
So it's like a perfect opportunity. Our salon is about 1,400, 1,500 square feet. It's not like massive, but we could fit, about 50 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a good space to be able to host a lot of education. And we're starting to plan our classes. And then we started talking with some other educators about coming and teaching, like Sarai and Nina Tulio and Jay
Mm-hmm.
Ladner. We met them at the show. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're just trying to build a lot of classes and stuff. And I'm excited because I just think I love teaching. It helps me, just retain all of that
Oh,
stuff. And
absolutely. Yeah,
yeah, it keeps me on
totally.
my game
Yeah.
when I'm having to explain stuff, and it just keeps it really fresh in my mind, which I really like because I am so passionate about like what I do, and I want to be the best I possibly can be. So
Hmm.
education is super important in my opinion, and I just love learning and finding new ways. And I know what it was like to be a struggling hairstylist. I mean, when I first started, I went right into renting, and I was like, I wasn't sober at the time, and I was kind of a mess, I'll be honest. And I remember being like really overwhelmed, and you're just kind of thrown in, and it was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much to learn. And so, doing classes here and there. And so, anyways, now that I'm in a good place, I want to be able to help, other hairstylists
Hmm.
that maybe feel overwhelmed and they don't know how to achieve certain things or prevent problems from happening. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I've had this idea for a while now. The more people I talk to, the more I think that this could be something that could be brought to fruition. This idea I have is that what if there was some sort of think of it as like a master's degree, if you
Mhm.
will, that you can get after beauty school that's like a continuing education certification that is like nationally recognized, right? I think the problem within our industry is there's people like you who are education focused, education driven. You're like, I'm going to know my shit. I'm going to know it well, right? And then there's other people who are just kind of like casually dabble, but you hold the same license. And so, it takes a lot of work and energy for you to separate yourself, right?
Yeah.
What if there was literally a license you can get or a degree that's like state board certified
Hmm.
that is like made of components, like let's say a blonding class,
Hmm.
a business class, a personal relationship with your client class, all these different things that kind of can make up an elevated stylist, right? And then you can have classes regionally that will qualify for that flavor of whatever the licensure is. And like, let's say you're housing that in your salon, and anyone that takes your class gets like the check mark for that class, right? And then they just need this class, and this class to get the full certification. And then they have an elevated license. I
I
think
love that.
I feel like no one I've talked to said it was a bad idea. I have no
No.
idea how to even approach something like this. I'm actually interviewing a girl in a couple weeks who works for state board
Oh.
in Kansas randomly. I met her at a show, and I kind of want to talk to her about like the process by which they create these rules and licenses and that kind of stuff, because how wonderful would that be for someone like you where you're like, I want to help people, but you'd be actually helping them with a license too, or like an elevated degree of some sort, and then it just like elevates you and what you're doing. I don't know.
I think that would be really cool. I like that.
I do too. I
I
feel
haven't.
like, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I know I wish I was just trying to think of her name. She is a stylist that, yeah, I honestly can't even think of her name, but I know that there's something that it's not like a state board license, but there is something that like really like dives deep into understanding certain things. I think it's like hair color focus, like color theory, like really goes like on another level of
Mm-hmm.
understanding things. And it's like a pretty intense program from what I understand, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not necessarily like recognized as like like what you're kind of explaining, like this
Mm-hmm.
master's degree, which I think is super cool because like I mean, every other school, has something like that. And that just means like you're more advanced and you put in
Exactly.
more time. And I think it would be amazing. I would totally do it for blonding. So I
Mm-hmm.
think you should try to figure that out.
I know. I really do. Because, yeah, you think about
Yeah.
others like trade industries, even like electricians, there's like
Yeah.
basic school they can go to, and then they can take more classes and have like an elevated license to do more
Hmm.
stuff, which then allows them to charge more without any sort of pushback from customers. And you know what I mean? And then there's
Yeah.
like safety nets involved with insurance and that kind of stuff, which could be a whole nother realm. But I feel like we're just kind of these like in-betweener service providers, and because we're artists, we kind of get this like gray area for so much. And I would love to put actual value to
Mhm.
the education that we've taken, because like I personally have never posted things at my station like certificates for classes. I just was always like, my clients don't know what this is. Oh, cool. I got certified in blonding 101. Like, they don't know. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. But I know lots of people that do that, that have like all of these framed certificates all over their salon. And it's because they want people to know that they're trying, but
Yeah.
there's no like piece of paper that says they've done anything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they just have the same basic license that I do. So,
Mhm.
anyway, I need like a think tank of hairstylists to come together to realize like what elements in our business as a elevated professional make us great, right? So this would be like a certificate of leveling up greatness as a hairstylist, blonding 101, yeah, hair color theory, whatever it might be, all these things that you do, you're like, you've got customer service, you've got, there's probably technical behind the scenes, even like bookkeeping things. Anyway, just listening to you talk about your education and your trajectory makes me realize like this needs to happen. This needs to be something
I
cool,
think it would
you
be
know?
really cool, especially because this industry has changed. I mean, I've only been doing hair for, I mean, I say only 10 years, but just because I know there's people, that have been in it for much longer. And I can
Mm-hmm.
only imagine how much it's changed, like, and my mom did hair. So, like, I remember when she would talk about things, she didn't even learn foils. And it's just crazy, like, how, I mean, our world just changes so fast in general right now. And as we all know, the hair industry is just, I mean, there's no one way to explain, there's no like,
Right.
everything can be done in so many different ways. One look can be achieved by doing it a million different ways. And there's like no that like the language of it all, like
Yes.
someone might
Yes.
be trying to explain what a color is and they have all these other words to explain it. And it
Totally.
might mean something different to another person. It's very confusing. Like
It's very
it's not like we're
confusing.
saying, it's just there's a lot of like gray area, like you were saying, and
Yes.
it's definitely kind of, yeah, crazy and stuff. But I think it would be kind of cool to do that
Mm-hmm.
advanced thing. And something I thought about, which is not on the same level that you're talking about, was um, basically setting up some sort of course where I would train people so that they could get certified in blonding. Like I would set up like an intensive blonding program and I would train people and like, it may be like a month long or something,
Mm-hmm.
but that's something that's just like in my mind. I don't know if like when I will do it, if I will do it, but it's something that sounds interesting to me because it's hard. And I feel like I could probably explain so many things to people that I had to learn over the course of years and
Yes.
just go through it. And I could like go through all of that with somebody and like get them so much further along
Right.
within like a month or so. And then
Right.
they would be like, have this like little certification just through me. I mean, which isn't a big deal, but
Sure.
yeah, but it's still like education if like they wanted to
Yes.
do that. So it was just
Right.
a little idea that I had. Who knows if
Yeah.
it'll happen, but
Yeah. Yeah. I bet it will. You're very driven, seemingly.
yeah. Yeah. I have so many goals, like I wasn't sober until I turned 30. And so before that, I was just kind of wild and crazy and, lived this reckless, insane life. And I was so focused on having a good time that I really wasn't focused on building a good life for myself. So once I did get sober, I spent a couple years healing and all of that fun, awful stuff. But it was really good for me. And I just had like a total 180 perspective and drive for like achieving a lot of things in my life. And I really wanted to be successful and happy. And so that's just what I've been working on a lot. And it's just been
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel really good about, just my momentum and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to achieve all these things. It's crazy when you think about like life, say 5 years ago and how different it is. And,
Right.
I was broke when I first started doing this. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's so hard about being a hairstylist. You don't necessarily make a lot in the beginning, but
No.
you can make it whatever you want it to be. And man, like you can, I mean, there's no limit, there's no cap. So
Right.
that's what's so cool about this industry is like,
Yes.
there's not someone saying, you're a nurse and this is what your salary is. Like, screw that. Like, you can go way above that if you're driven and doing the education and putting in the
Right.
work and the time. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think there's a lot of people that leave the industry. I was just reading some statistics for an ebook I've been working on, but it was like by the time you're going to renew your license for the first time, there's only 10% of hairstylists left to renew that license. So in the
Wow.
first 2 years, you lose
Oh my God.
90% of the people who went through beauty school. And it's, they think, due to like a lack of a path. Like they don't know what to do. So they're just like, I guess I'll go work by the hour working somewhere. Or they just don't even understand what they could make their career into. And there's
Mhm.
no like, continuing education support as like a whole, right? You can go to independent educators, but if you don't even know where to look for educators and you're on your
Yeah.
own, you're just going to be like floundering. And if you're not someone who's personally very driven, I think it'd be easy to just be like, well, it's not for me. And I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
shame. There's probably so many people who get into it with this, like, glamorous vision
Mhm.
of what it could be. And so I'd love to see more people succeed and kind of elevate the industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's really crazy. I mean, I know just thinking about my cosmetology class, all the people I went to school with and how I know so many because you see them on social media and you can tell they're not in the industry anymore. And it's just weird to me. I'm just really glad and fortunate, I guess, that I did continue on, push through the being broke in the beginning and
Yes.
like, it's hard. You can have some difficult things that happen. You can get some clients that are just, challenging. But,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like I feel I love what I do. I get to connect with people. I get to be social, artistic, not stare at a computer all day. I mean,
Yes.
social media is a little different, but I'm not just stuck at
Yeah.
a desk
Yeah.
at a computer doing numbers and like the same
Yes.
thing every day. It's so free. I can work 2 hours if I want. I can work 12 hours if I want. And,
Yes.
it's just, there's so much amazing benefits to being a hairstylist and
Yeah.
it's fun. And
It's
like
so
our
fun.
community as a general, like going to the classes and the shows and like all the award shows is so much fun. I don't think there's a better
I
industry to be
agree.
a
I
part of.
know.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I agree. And, we're seeing a lot of new people come into our industry now. I think like beauty school registration rates are higher now than they've ever been. So
I
I think
believe it.
we've been
Yeah.
doing a good job of portraying it in a good light on social media because everyone's like, well, wait a minute. This looks kind of cool. And I'm like, it is
Yeah.
cool.
I I can't tell you how many like clients that do not do hair that have said, "Oh, I just love watching hair videos." I mean, I
Yeah.
think I don't know what the order of like the most kind of watched content, but I guarantee hair is like the top 3. Like
Yes.
I just it's
Yeah.
crazy,
I
but I
know.
totally think that there's so many amazing creators out there that are in our industry just I mean, whether it's just showing how they do foils, and it's just like therapeutic and just
Mhm.
you just can't help but watch it. It's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, I get sucked into that stuff all the time. Do you follow oh gosh, is her name Carrie or Katie? Vaughn Chronicles? Do you
Oh
follow her
yeah,
at all?
Carly.
Carly,
Carly.
there it is. I'm like, what's her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I
Yeah.
love watching her videos and like I can't even say that I like learn anything. She teaches great stuff, but it's like I do the same stuff and I'm watching her videos just because it's like mesmerizing. Like,
Yeah, I
like
know.
it's
There's a
fascinating
million
to watch.
ways to do a result. It's
Yeah.
super cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
belonged to her education for a few months, a long time
Uh-huh.
ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Nice.
she's great. I mean, good for she is thriving. She is
Killing it.
killing it.
Yeah, I know. I'm like goals there, right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's
Hmm.
inspirational. I'm like, my hat is off to her because I mean, she's built this amazing, hair community that has thousands of people in it, which is pretty incredible.
Hmm.
I think she's probably one of the top like
Yeah,
subscriber, hairstylists like where
right.
she's I don't even know how many people are in it now, but it's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you were
So,
talking about with your class, like, is this too basic? And like her stuff is fairly basic and it is so
yeah,
helpful.
it's and that's why I ended up she does a lot of very natural lived in and I'm kind of more I'm doing really intense, crazy, like stuff in one session, a lot more blonding that's like just, yeah, it's not just like a simple little lived in look. It's
Yeah.
a lot of time, because I think lived in is easy to me. Like that's
Hmm.
just like a couple hours and like cool, we're
Right.
done. But like
Yeah.
the correctional blonding stuff is intense. And so that's just but I thought it was great. I think she's an amazing educator, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just do a little bit different things than her. So
What do you think has been one of the most challenging blonding services for you? Like if you can think of like this one time that
So, in my opinion, it is the person that is like a very blended highlight that wants to be converted into a bleach and tone.
yeah.
It's time consuming. Those are my 10 to 12-hour long services. I actually have a couple more coming up that want to be converted. And I have done quite a few, and there's no easy way about it. And it is stressful because you have all these you're picking through little tiny independent strands of hair
Mm-hmm.
in the whole head. And then
Yeah.
you're constantly stopping and checking foils, addressing any bands that are going on, or now I need to pull through this section and then I got to keep going. And it's very tedious and time consuming. But I like that stuff. It works for me.
I
So,
do. Yeah, me
um,
too.
yeah, so I kind of enjoy it. It's so rewarding at the end to be able to see like the big transformation. I think that's what I enjoy the most is I want to see someone start here and then be a complete 180 into something
Mm-hmm.
completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And I always was, striving to be the person that was like, I want to be that person who can do it in one session or two, and most stylists can't. Like that was always my mentality. And I'm always in competition with myself to be the best. And so I'm not like, oh, I'm not trying to be better than this person or that person. I'm like, I want to be better today than I was yesterday, and like just keep challenging myself. And, so it's fun. But I think that is the hardest service to do.
Mm-hmm. Do you work with an assistant?
I don't. I had for like a very short period of time, and then it just didn't work out. But I do want to get another one because
Mm-hmm.
I do want someone that could help me. It would be a huge relief, and like just having someone pull the foils or just check on things, and I can keep working. And then to film for me too is
Right.
something that, since I do a lot of social media, I would love to have someone be able to do both, so they're, hey, film this and then stop and then help me. So it's something that now that the salon is open, New York is under the belt, got that done, I feel like I'm like, okay, I have more time to now maybe look into that. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
definitely on the list.
That's good. Yeah, especially with
Yeah.
those 12-hour transformations. Like
Oh,
you said, just having another set of hands, you know?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's hard. I mean, but it would be so weird at this point because I've been working by myself for most of my career. So at this point, it would be a huge adjustment to now bring someone on to work with me. But I know that so many stylists do it and love it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it would probably be a huge relief to me.
Mm-hmm. I
So
bet you would like it just for the education piece too. Like, I bet you'd like having someone there to be like explaining the things that you're doing as you're doing them because you like to have those aha moments for them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely.
cool.
Yeah. So
Nice.
it's on the list.
Uh-huh. All
Yeah.
right. Well, okay, so besides the show in June for IBS, do you have any other education stuff planned yet, or is it all just kind of like floating in the ether and waiting to happen?
So we are going to be doing my business partner and I, we are going to do our first we're going to actually do the one that we did in New York and in Vegas, but local in our salon. It's going to be the blonding obstacles one because it was probably the most valuable out of all three, like in our opinion and based on feedback. And so we want to make it into a longer class with an actual mannequin and show all these different things and what we would do, so it can be a little bit more interactive and hands-on and stuff like that. And I'm going to do a placement class. I haven't picked a date yet. I'm trying to figure out if I think it's going to be in May, and our class for that I'm doing with my business partner will be in May. And I just released subscriptions on my Instagram page. I haven't put any content up yet,
Uh-huh.
but that's something that I think I want to kind of just talk about social media on there, and probably a little bit of placement stuff for, just doing some things, probably go live at least once a week for subscribers, and do a lot of in-depth Q&As, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, just whatever I just feel like I need to do.
Yeah.
um, But yeah, dates will probably be released for certain classes in the next couple weeks for our
Okay.
classes. Because we definitely are like, that's probably what we're going to do today is talk about like, okay, when is the date? We need to post about it and start marketing it. So,
Yeah. So for anyone that's listening, if they want to figure out when and where you're going to have classes hosted, where would you recommend they look?
okay. So I will post it on my social media. I will also do a highlight button in my Instagram page. So that way, any upcoming classes, there will be a link to purchase tickets, or just like notifying you when the tickets will go for sale. And then our salon business page will actually promote, and you can buy tickets directly from our website. So I will put it in my link on my Instagram, so that way anybody can go to my page, find the link to our salon page, and be able to go right to purchasing tickets and just
Cool.
seeing what's going to be coming up.
And then tell me again the name of your salon for the page.
It's Blonde Culture Salon. That's our Instagram handle, and it's blondeculturesalon.com as well.
Beautiful. Awesome.
So, yeah.
I just had this idea. I don't know if you're thinking about doing this for your blonding obstacles class.
Yeah.
You mentioned mannequins and that kind of stuff. Have you thought about like taking a bunch of mannequins and like black box dyeing them or like, yeah, okay. Oh God,
Yeah.
I'm like, I would take that class. That would be so fun to just like
Yeah.
jack up a bunch of doll heads, like with the things that
Uh-huh.
you're like, this is going to be a struggle. Like dip their head in some well water for like a week or
Yes.
something, and then be like, all right, so here's how we're going to try to get through this. That would be
Exactly. No, we
so
want to have
cool.
like, different quadrants and like, or different areas of the head be different things. And that way we can, or using a couple different mannequins if we need to do it like that as well, to
Mm-hmm.
show. And it's funny because I think it would be I know that a lot of people will love doing that. Part of me is like, I think there's so many classes that do a look, so
Right.
you go into a class and you learn how to do this look, which sounds, it looks really pretty. It's great. But I think something like this, it's like, there's not a lot of people that do this as far as I know, where you're just focused on fixing all of these problems or
The
how to prevent them.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's something that maybe isn't as like, oh, this is so pretty, end result, but it's like super helpful because we all run into problems or don't know how
Yes.
to handle them. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it will be good.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think you'll attract a lot of people with that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff I love too. Like I love
Good.
fixing problems. I like kind of having
Yeah.
to be like, okay, let's stand back and get the full picture of what's going on here and like how to tackle this. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I can't wait. I'm excited for all of our stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. I just feel very, um, I don't know, like overwhelmed, but in a good way. Just
Mm-hmm.
because I'm like, I have so many ideas and it's like, all right, I just need to plan one thing at a time.
I
So,
can relate to that so much. And it's so easy to get like shiny ball syndrome where you're like, today I'm excited about this, but then tomorrow I'm excited about this. Oh shit, I want to
yeah,
make a video about that. Like, oh
I know,
man.
like me through and through. I have like a running list that's probably 5 pages long that it just keeps getting bigger, not smaller, from my
Yeah.
ideas of like,
Yeah.
oh, make a video about this and that. So
Yeah.
I completely relate
Yeah.
to that.
Okay, so you're going to the salon after this today to film some
Yeah.
stuff. Do you know what you're doing? Or are you going to get there and just like go for it? Oh, you have a plan?
No, what I've learned about myself is if I just try to go in with no plan, now I'm scrolling or like, what do I want to do? I have my running list. And if I'm just, at a loss for ideas, I look at that list.
Mm-hmm.
I generally have already saved audios that I want to use on TikTok or Instagram. I use both. I used to prefer making them on TikTok and then I will save them in a third party app, remove the watermark, and then post them on Instagram. But sometimes I just make it on Instagram now. But I do have audio saved. So then I'm not like, what am I going to do here? Because it allows me to get right into filming.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just bust out all the filming and then I'll probably edit like one or two today. And then I just slowly edit them a little bit at a time. So it's not like I'm literally spending all day doing every aspect of
Right.
making a video because that's kind of overwhelming.
It is. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've tried filming different ways. I used to not like batching content. I used to like, I'm just going to film like 1 to 2. But then what would happen is I wouldn't feel like filming like that third or fourth day, and now I have no video to post.
Right.
So I just get it done. I probably film at least 8 up to 14 in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just have some for the next couple weeks. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Have
Yeah.
you heard some of the business trajectory things that are happening with Instagram and potentially TikTok?
Um,
What I
I
mean is,
guess,
so, okay,
yeah.
so I heard somewhere, I don't even remember where now, they tried to cancel TikTok in the US, like ban it last year, but
Oh my God.
like whatever they were pushing didn't really have any legs to stand on. And
Mm.
now it's like something about the Chinese spyware or something else, and they're potentially going to ban it this year, they're talking about in the US. So, like, nothing. And then Instagram is possibly, they're like, haven't confirmed it anywhere, but I read an article that says it's happening. They're going to make everyone basically pay to play with a blue check mark, right? So, like, you're only going to get your stuff seen if you have a blue check mark. And in order to have a blue check mark, you have to pay for access to Instagram. And so there's business gurus that have talked about Instagram might die this year because anyone that accesses it for free right now as like a customer and a consumer is going to be like, screw you, I don't want to pay to be on Instagram. And so something else will happen. Have you heard any of this yet?
I did hear about the check mark thing where, yeah, like now you have, at first I was like, that's ridiculous. Why are they making people pay? But it's funny because I remember saying this like 3 years ago, like, do not just rely on only having your content on your page because one day they could charge you for it. And so it's funny because it's like it slowly happens in a way that like people accept it a little bit more. But I haven't heard about like Instagram dying because of this. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like, oh gosh, I hope that it doesn't. I've put so much into it. I enjoy it personally,
Yeah.
but I have noticed a lot of changes. All the ads. I mean, now if you're on one person's page and you're scrolling, now an ad will pop up out of nowhere, which
Yes.
is very
Yeah.
strange. But it'll be interesting. I mean, I know that there's people that will refuse to purchase that sort
Right.
of thing.
Right.
Um, and it kind of, I know a lot of people that have the blue check marks are kind of pissed that like now anybody can like pay for it.
Yes.
But I don't
Yeah.
know. It's kind
I,
of weird because when I first heard about the fact that, oh, well, it provides like a real person if something happens, it's like an insurance plan for your page if you get hacked. So
right.
then I was like, well, maybe it is a good thing. Maybe I would pay for it because if I ever get hacked, like I don't want to lose all my stuff. I mean,
Totally.
that's like
Yeah.
devastating. I mean, it would be for me. So
Yeah.
that might be sad, but it would
Yeah.
be. So
Yeah. No, totally.
yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I
I
was just
know.
curious because I know you have a lot of stuff on social media. So I don't know. But if you're saving your videos, maybe it's not that big of a deal, too.
Yeah, I need to start like going through. I mean, I have a lot of them saved. I don't know if I have every single one, but I probably will go through because now I have like a separate content phone. So I'll probably go through and like save all my stuff. And I would recommend other people do that too, just in case, say the platform does die. Now you have your content to like repost on another one if that were to ever happen. But it'll be
That's an
interesting to
interesting
see what
idea.
happens.
I have
Yeah.
not considered that a content phone, but I have so much video saved on my phone. I got like the biggest memory that they
Yeah.
had, right? And I'm like, it seemed crazy, like I would never even come close to filling it. But once you do like a day's worth of filming, video takes up so much of your
It's
phone. It's like, oh my
It's
God.
crazy. And
Yeah.
like in today's day and age, yeah, it's like now we're trying to film so many different things and it's just and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the best at like going through and deleting some
Me
old stuff.
either.
Oh
No,
my gosh, I have like I keep
no.
maxing out I have two phones. I have an Android and then I just recently got an iPhone and so
Uh-huh.
I got the 1 terabyte iPhone. I'm
Yep.
like,
That's what I
all
got
right, you
too.
should be good for a little
Give me
while.
the big daddy.
Yeah, not messing around.
Yeah. Do you keep bloopers too? Like if you've got like blooper takes or like, video takes that aren't good, do you keep those or do you delete them?
I definitely have some. I
Yeah.
thought about I've seen people do the blooper reels. I mean, mine are I don't know. It's like definitely embarrassing, but it's
Yeah.
funny. I
Yeah.
just don't know if other people would be like, why are you posting this? You know?
Okay, from a consumer of your content standpoint, I would love that.
Okay, maybe I will.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it fits your brand, if your
Okay, so that
content
might be a
wasn't
good idea.
funny, Yeah,
That might be a good idea because it's like, hey, Instagram, what I post versus the reality is I freaking can suck at it in the beginning, or like it takes a minute for me to like look realistic in the
same.
scenario.
Yeah,
So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do a collection of terrible takes
you'd be
from
great.
different videos.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well,
Cool.
I think we covered everything that I wanted to cover.
Yay.
This was really great. I really, really
Yeah,
enjoyed chatting with you. I just
likewise.
love your energy and everything you've got going, and I can like feel your excitement and energy like bubbling out of you. So I'm really excited to
Oh,
see what this year brings for you.
thank
Um,
you.
so I'm basically just going to stalk you on Instagram for now. And
Okay, we
um,
can mutually stalk each other. It's great.
perfect, perfect. In the show notes for this podcast, I will put a link to your Instagram account and then your salon page as well for anyone that's interested.
Awesome.
And if anything else pops up in the meantime, like if you have any links to classes,
Okay.
shoot them my way and I can always add them into the show notes as well.
Awesome.
And I think you'll see this podcast probably in about a week. I'm usually like a little lag time in between because I do like a little intro and an outro for it as well. But I'll tag you and post it when it's ready to be listened to. So thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this too. I really appreciate this is my first podcast and it was so much fun. I couldn't have asked for a better experience with you.
Aw.
So,
Well, you're a
and I love,
natural.
oh, thank you. And I really enjoy, I've listened to a couple of your podcast episodes. I think you're great. I think your social media page is great. So I enjoy following you as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
Yeah.
girlfriend. Well, we're going to sign off here and
Awesome.
have fun going and making your video content.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, friend. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Your Hair Mentor podcast. It has been my pleasure to be here as your host. Again, my name is Crystal Green. And until next time, my friend, as I always love to say, have a wonderful hair day, and I'll see you then. Okay, bye.